Hello, welcome to my channel. Remember, what we do here is to give you proper or detailed information on different agricultural practices that can help you become a very detailed farmer so that you can get the results that is needed. Okay, today I want to really speak to those that are into fish pond business. Are you a fish pond business? You are into fish pond business and you have a challenge with sourcing of water. One of the biggest challenges is sourcing of water, and the water you are sourcing, if you have to be getting water, it's going to become expensive. Now I'm going to be teaching you how you can be able to recycle your water. So the water you use from your pond, you recycle it and use it again. So that is what we want to do. So with that, you will usually need very minimal amount of water for you to be able to do your fish farming. And today we are going to be looking at how can I recycle my fish pond water so that it will become good and conducive for my fishes. So that is what we're going to be doing here today. And remember, I'm talking to people that do pond business that don't have enough water to continue to do their fish pond business, especially during dry season. Because during dry season, what happens during dry season is some of our water source dries up, and when it dries up, it becomes a challenge. What some of us do is that we now have to wait until we enter rainy season again so that you can continue your fish farming. So that is the things we want to look at today. Now let's analyze fish pond water. Now when you put a clean water into your fish pond, what happens is this. There will be activities going on the water. One of the activities is that the fish will be living in that water, dwelling in the water, and everything that eats will always have to do what defecate. So what happens is this: inside that water where that fish is staying, it releases waste. It releases its waste into the same water. Then also it's also fed through the water. So because it's also fed through the water, we also provide food through the water. And most times it is not everything you drop inside that water that the fish will take. Even if it takes it, some portion of what is on the or from nutrients on that particular food will also end up mixing up with the water. So what happens is, based on the activities of a fish in a fish pond, the water you use in doing your fish pond within a period of time become very toxic for your fish. That is why if you put a clean water into a fish pond, by the time it has stayed there with all these activities as mentioned, this thing will start to introduce some kind of nutrients in that soil, and that is a particular kind of mineral that is very toxic for your fishes. That once it's become too much on your fish will start bringing out his head to catch some air, and that is what we call ammonium. Ammonium is actually from the urine and from the gill of fish that it releases these things to the water. And once this ammonium becomes too much, it's just like humans. Where you poo, you don't want to stay there because the smell is always so uncomfortable. The same thing with fishes. Those ammonium that they releases makes the thing so toxic that they become uncomfortable inside that water. So what they need at that point is for you to take out that water and give them another fresh water. But the thing there is this, and that is why we keep taking out water, getting fresh water, taking out water, getting fresh water. But I want to believe that if you can be able to take out that ammonium, that fish will still be fine in that water. So now what we want to teach you is how to take out ammonium from the fish pond water. When you take out that ammonium from the fish pond water, the water can be taken back to the pond and the fish will still stay inside that water. So how do we take it out? Now, when you get the fish pond water, you can pass it through what we call a biofilter. A biofilter simply means biological filter. Biological filter means that you are introducing living things to serve as a filter. That is what we mean by biological filter. Now, what do we introduce as a living thing that act on this water so that it can be able to now give you a different kind of water? Now, we introduce beneficial bacteria. Who are going to act on this ammonium to be able to convert it from ammonium to nitrates. Now, there are two kinds of beneficial bacteria that we introduce. One of it is called nitrosomonas. Nitrosomonas converts this ammonium to nitrite. Then, but that nitrite is still not what we want. Now, we now introduce another one we call nitrobacter. Nitrobacter is now the one that will convert that nitrite to nitrate. You understand? So when nitrosomonas is acting on that pond water, is automatically his activities is converting the ammonium there into nitrite. Also, the nitrobacter inside that also water doing his own activity is also converting the nitrite into nitrate. And once it gets to nitrate simply means nitrogen oxide. You can now move that water. That water becomes very okay for a fish to dwell on. You will no longer be perceiving those toxic smell. It will now start smelling earthy. It will be smelling earthy. What I mean earthy, the way clay smells, it will be smelling earthy. You can take it back to your pond and your fishes will be very fine with that water. Very, very fine and very okay with water. So how do we do that? Now what I'm going to teach you now is how can we do this biofilter. It's simple. Very, very simple. Now for you to do a biofilter, what you need to do is first of all create a reservoir where you are going to be taking out your fish pond water into. Right? If you get a reservoir where you take your fish pond water into, what you now do is this: you leave it open. But when you leave it open, introduce things like granite or cocoa husk. Introduce them on that water. Pour them into, like, you can put, like, depending on the level of water, but you can put, let the stone be like up to about let's say 5 cm. Pour the granite into it. Put some rice husk. Now, sorry, not rice husk, coconut husks. Now, those things you are introducing, what it does is this: it is a dwelling place for those bacteria. Those bacteria love such kind of rough surface for them to dwell in when they come into the water, and they are naturally in the atmosphere. So they are naturally in the atmosphere, yes. And the ammonium is an attractor. The ammonium is so the smell that is coming out from a fish pond water is an attractor for it. So once it comes in, it will now go and live inside them, that place where you have those stones. You understand? Why we introduce, we can use only granite, but why we introduce coconut husk is coconut husk has a lot of rough edge that it can with coconut husk inside it, you are going to have more of these bacteria, beneficial bacteria. You can have more of these beneficial bacteria dwelling inside that coconut husk. You understand? So it loves such kind of surface, those rough areas where it can actually stay. So with it, once you provide those things, once you get your pond water, put it inside there. As far as that pond water is there, the ammonium there is an attractor. It will come on their own. And once they come, what you now need to do is this: you need to leave that thing inside that water for at least 5 days. Minimum 5 days. You need to leave inside that water for minimum 5 days, because depending on the number of nitrosomonas or nitrobacter in that stuff will determine how much the conversion rate is going to be. But so minimum 5 days, you'll be very sure that the water has been converted to nitrate. So when you do that, the next thing you are going to do is this: once after 5 days, you can now create a channel where you take that water back into your pond. Where you take the water back into your pond. Do you understand? And when you take that water back into your pond, you need to also check your pond water, because if the level is now low, you can now top up water to be able to get it to the level where you want it to be. Do you understand? You now be able to take it to the level where you want it to be. So with that, we are fine. Now, another thing I need to be able to tell is this: whatever reservoir you have, please, if you are going to cover that reservoir, provide a space for air. Let it not be airtight. Let it not be airtight. There should be space for air. So for me, if it's in an open door, you can actually use something like a shade net, because you don't want things to be falling into that place, and you also don't want algae, because once there is sun, sun is an attractor for algae, and when algae comes here, you start struggling, you start dragging oxygen with those beneficial bacteria. It will start dragging oxygen with those, and before you know it, they will start dying. You understand? So to make sure that you don't have algae, you can get something like a shade net. Shade net for farmers, we know what shade net is. it is like a net, but it's dark. It has a black stuff, and it shades off some portion of sun. So you can use that to cover up your reservoir if you don't want to use if it doesn't have a cover. But if you have a cover, remember, we don't want it to be airtight. You understand? So you can use a shade net to make sure that it is covered from all these things, but at the same time too, that the bacteria are also having enough air for them to be able to continue to act on those ammonium as you expected. So with that, you are very sure you are cool. So all you need to do, get a reservoir, the tools you need, get a reservoir, get a shade net, get granite, get some rice or coconut husks. With these 4 things, you have set up a biofilter. And with this biofilter, anytime you take out your pond water and move it on this, after 5 days, it will be ready for you to take it back to your pond water. Yes, with that, if you're in a place where you don't have so much water for you to do your stuff, that is a perfect water for you. With that, you can continue to turn it around, and you can do your fish pond business without stress, without ease, without bothering yourself about we don't have water in this place. Even if you buy water, at least the set of water you buy should be enough for you to grow your fish pond from that fingerling stage to the point where you are going to sell it. And I believe that's a cool thing for you. And I'm sure, how cool is that? I know you love that. So guys, all my fish farmers, go and apply this and you enjoy your fish farming. And I believe I must have solved a very huge problem for you. Go and try that out. If you have any issues, go ahead and ask me. I will attend to it. Thank you. If you've not subscribed to my channel, I plead with you. We want to continue to bring in more of such things for you. So please go ahead and subscribe to my channel so that we will continue to bring such content to you. Remember, we are generally in agriculture trying to solve agricultural issues and try to make sure that we farmers are people that are actually farming with precision, making sure that every details that make us get the right result, that we are putting that to work. Thank you so much guys for being part of my video, and also try as much as possible to share it and give me a thumb up if you enjoyed this video.